I'm Julie, 34. I'll never forget that day when I was sitting in my small apartment watching my half sister Lily's wedding online. They said the venue had limited capacity, so I was stuck here, all alone. As the ceremony hit its peak, I saw something that made my blood turn cold. My fiancé, Mark, was sitting right there with my family, wearing a suit he'd told me was at the dry cleaners. He was supposed to be in Seattle for a business meeting. And just then, the live stream froze, capturing that moment of betrayal perfectly. That frozen image shattered my world and exposed years of lies. It all started when I was 15. My parents divorced. My dad, Henry, was a cold-hearted businessman. He was always focused on making money and climbing the corporate ladder. My mom, Sarah, was a kind-hearted schoolteacher. After the divorce, Dad quickly married Vera, a woman 12 years younger than him who worked in his law firm. They had Lily when I was 17. From that moment on, I felt like I was being pushed out of my dad's life. The photos of me in his office were replaced with pictures of him, Vera, and baby Lily. When I visited their new mansion every other weekend, I was made to stay in a guest room that never really felt like home. Meanwhile, Mom and I lived in a small, old apartment. She had to work 2 jobs just to make ends meet, while Dad's law firm thrived. He was involved in high-profile cases and made a fortune. The pattern of exclusion started small. When I was 18, they went on a luxury cruise, saying I had exams. When I was 22, they celebrated New Year's in Paris, but there was no room for me. By the time I was 25, I only found out about family events after seeing the photos on social media. Whenever I expressed my hurt, Dad would just say I was being too sensitive. Mom passed away from a heart attack when I was 28. At her funeral, Dad gave a brief, emotionless speech. Vera stood beside him, looking impatient, and Lily, then 11, was playing on her phone. After Mom's death, I threw myself into my career as a web designer. I built a small but growing freelance business, working hard to make a living. I met Mark 3 years ago at a friend's party. He was charming, intelligent, and seemed genuinely interested in me. We moved in together after 6 months, and he proposed last year. He knew all about my family situation and always comforted me when I was upset about being left out. He even encouraged me to keep trying to have a better relationship with my dad. But over the past year, things started to get strange. Mark had more business dinners and late-night meetings than seemed normal. Dad would mention Mark in passing during our phone calls, but quickly changed the subject when I asked for details. Vera started sending me birthday cards, which she'd never done before. I was so happy to see some positive changes in our family relationships that I ignored my gut feelings. Then, in March, I got the digital invitation to Lily's wedding in my email. Lily was only 18, still so young. The invitation was very fancy, with glittering animations and a beautiful soundtrack. It announced her wedding to Ethan at Dad's huge estate in the mountains in June. I called Dad right away. He sounded nervous when he answered. I asked if it was too early for Lily to get married, and he defensively said Ethan came from a good family and they had business connections. When I asked about travel arrangements, Dad said they had to limit in-person guests due to capacity issues, even though the estate was massive. They'd arranged a live stream for those who couldn't attend. I was heartbroken. That night, I told Mark about the wedding and my exclusion. He said he had a business conference in Seattle that weekend and couldn't make it. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I received detailed emails about the live stream, including technical instructions and suggestions for creating a great viewing experience. Mark was busy preparing for his trip. He bought a new suit and took it to the dry cleaners. A week before the wedding, I saw on social media that many relatives were arriving at Dad's estate for pre-wedding events. The night before Mark was supposed to leave for Seattle, I used his laptop to order food. A hotel confirmation popped up in his email. It was for a hotel near Dad's estate for the whole wedding weekend. I was shocked but tried to convince myself it was a mistake. The morning Mark left, he was acting so formal. He left 4 hours before his flight, saying he needed extra time for security. The day before the wedding, I got texts from Dad and Vera reminding me to log in early. Lily sent a text saying, Hope the stream works, lol. I spent that evening alone, looking at the photos of the rehearsal dinner on social media, feeling so lonely. On the morning of Lily's wedding, I decided to make the best of it. I put on a nice dress, did my makeup, and ordered a bouquet of flowers. I connected my laptop to the TV and opened a bottle of champagne. The live stream started with amazing drone shots of Dad's estate. The place looked like a paradise. As the ceremony began, I saw many relatives I hadn't seen in years. And then, during the procession, I saw Mark sitting in the front row, looking so comfortable. I choked on my champagne and dropped the remote. By the time I picked it up, the camera had moved on. When Lily and Ethan shared their first kiss, the live stream froze. The image that was burned into my mind was Mark smiling, Dad looking smug, and Vera wearing my grandmother's diamond necklace, a family heirloom that Mom had always said would be mine. I tried to call Mark and Dad, but both went to voicemail. I texted Lily, but she didn't reply. I sat there, crying until my makeup was all smeared. After the tears stopped, I was filled with cold, calculating anger. I knew there was a web of lies that I needed to uncover. The next day, I began my investigation. I started with social media and found more photos of Mark at the pre-wedding events. Then, I went through our shared cloud storage and found emails between Mark and Dad that dated back 8 months. They were discussing a plan to keep me in the dark. I also received a call from Mr. Thompson, my grandmother's old accountant. He told me that the will we had was not the original one. Grandma had changed it in her final days when she was very sick and under heavy medication. In the original will, I was supposed to inherit her beach house and a large part of her estate. But in the new will, Dad got everything. As my investigation continued, I discovered that Mark's startup was actually a shell company funded entirely by Dad. Dad had hired Mark to date me to keep an eye on me because he was worried I might contest the will. A week after the wedding, Mark came back. I confronted him. He admitted that it had started as a business arrangement, but that he had fallen in love with me. But I was too hurt to believe him fully. Just then, Dad called. I put the call on speaker. We had a heated argument. Dad tried to defend himself, but I had all the evidence. I told him I wanted what was rightfully mine, Grandma's beach house, the family heirloom, and a public apology. Dad refused, saying it would damage his reputation. I gave him 48 hours to agree to my terms, or I'd go public with all the evidence. In the end, Dad's lawyer contacted me with a counter offer. They would return the necklace, pay the current market value of the beach house, and create a trust fund for me. They also offered a private family gathering where Dad would admit his wrongdoing. After consulting with my lawyer, I accepted the offer, with the condition that Mark return all the money he'd received from Dad and end his business relationship with him. In the months that followed, Dad's law firm suffered as rumors of his financial improprieties spread. His relationship with Vera became very tense, and they eventually divorced. Mark tried to contact me several times, but I didn't respond. I used a part of my restored inheritance to start a foundation to help single-parent families. Through this work, I met Alex, a kind-hearted social worker. Our relationship is built on honesty and mutual respect. Looking back, that frozen wedding live stream was a wake-up call. It forced me to see the truth and fight for what was mine. Family betrayal is the deepest kind of pain, but I've learned to move on and build a new, better life for myself.